So days after the January 6th House Committee met with the former Trump administration aide, Garrett Ziegler, he posted a racist, sexist, just unhinged rant on Telegram, during which he attacks the ongoing investigation as anti-white and communist. Let's listen to this clip.
They're Bolsheviks, so they probably do hate the American founders and most white people in general. This is a Bolshevistic anti-white campaign. If you can't see that, your eyes are freaking closed. And so they see me as a young Christian who they can try to basically scare, right? And so today was just a lot of saying that I am invoking my right to silence under executive privilege in the Fifth Amendment. I'm the least racist person that many of you have ever met, by the way. I have no bigotry. I just try to see the world for where it is.
Okay, it should be noted for the record here that the person leading the January 6th committee is Democratic Representative Bennie Thompson, who is black. So who is this delightful guy? Seems like such an interesting and good guy. So he was an aide to the ex-trade advisor Peter Navarro during the Trump administration. The former White House aide famously brokered the now infamous December 6, 2020 Oval Office meeting between Trump and several controversial conservative figures, including former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and lawyer Sidney Powell, designed to convince the president to order the seizure of voting machines in hopes of overturning the 2020 election results, Rolling Stone reporting. So Ziegler's guest admitting privileges at the White House were reportedly revoked by Mark Meadows after that infamous meeting. And today, Ziegler is best known for publishing emails and documents from Hunter Biden's hard drive and a transcribed version of Ashley Biden's journal on his website. But before Ziegler became a Biden family troll, he helped write the Navarro Report, a 3-part election fraud manifesto. The first volume was released just a day before the December 18th meeting. So Ziegler has also bragged that he advised Donald Trump in a meeting just days before the January 6th attack. Navarro was recently arrested for contempt of Congress for refusing to cooperate with the January 6th committee. So quite the group of guys. This person's closely aligned with Navarro and is just really happy with his work supporting Trump. Some of the people in the January 6th committee seem to be avoiding criminal liability, but this guy seems to be leaning right in.
Yeah, my favorite part was finding out who the least racist person I know is. I thought it was people like Benjamin Crump, who's been on the show, who's represented so many of the families of slain unarmed black men, and Trayvon Martin and others. And I thought maybe it was Ben Jealous, the former head of the NAACP. There's so many people it could have been, but it turns out it's not. It's Ziegler. Yeah. And of course, we're going to show you in a second that he's also the least sexist person you've ever met, in like a hilarious message that he put out. This is the problem with the country, right? Because we live in a country that has two completely different cultures. And so you can tell from his writing and from what he says that he genuinely believes what he's saying. And he really believes that they're the good guys and that you should attack women for, and call them prostitutes, etc., for no reason, right? Because they disagree with you politically. And you should just say these awful, awful things. And that makes you the good guy. And he thinks, the people trying to protect women, protect others, not trying to overturn democracy, we're the Bolsheviks. I mean, we don't understand each other. Like, if you ask those Christian fundamentalists like Ziegler, like, what do liberals think of you? What do liberals think of themselves, or progressives, or people on the left, right? They will genuinely tell you, they think that they're Bolsheviks and they can't wait for the Bolshevik revolution. And then it's, no, dude, we think you're nuts. You're a lunatic for thinking we're Bolsheviks, let alone your other insane comments. But Jessica, we both live in this country, but we don't both live on this planet. It is an amazing turn of events.
Yeah, it's almost comedic, right? Because the United States Constitution, very far from communism, very far from communism. And this committee is trying to keep our democracy together, trying to say, okay, let's abide by the US Constitution here. You can't overturn elections. There are processes for these. And in order to move forward in a way so this doesn't happen again, let's ensure that we're upholding what our Constitution says about elections. Now, to say that it's Bolsheviks, there's a group of people, pretty large faction of people in the United States that think having any functioning government at all is communism. Any provision of public goods, any method of government that allows us to get things done and collaborate and create systems so that we have a functioning society and can make decisions about the laws and regulations we want to govern that society, that's just going too far. I mean, the Supreme Court ruling that the EPA cannot regulate greenhouse emissions, it's insane. It's up for debate whether or not we should have a government at all in the United States, and yet they paint the left as the anarchists, but they are really trying to push us to a place where corporations are the main power and white Christian nationalists, 4 or so people sitting on the Supreme Court should have more power, than the people who are voting to elect representatives. Really scary times.
Yeah, and look, we live in different cultures, we live in different realities, but is one more right than the other? Of course. So now both sides think they're right, but how do you determine objective reality? Well, there's a couple of different ways. One is you could look up the definition of a Bolshevik, and then you could look up Joe Biden's policies and see that they are not just different, not just incredibly different, but almost diametrically opposed. Joe Biden is capitalist extraordinaire, going around at the feet of the corporate donors going, I swear I'll serve you forever and ever, nothing will ever change, right? And we can prove it in every policy. Bolshevik, he just doesn't understand what the word means. They don't understand what the word Marxist means, communist, nobody ever even discusses what socialist means, including the dumbass mainstream media. Oh, they're socialists. What is a socialist? You guys have never, ever even explained it. So they're detached from reality. They're definitely wrong. So here, I'll give you another example. This goes to this hilarious tweet from Garrett Ziegler. He says, this is graphic 3. The hit pieces against yours truly in raw sewage, sometimes known as Raw Story, so clever, and CNN are just vicious. These people lie like you and I breathe. I cherish women, and the people in my life will testify to that. And for the record, Cassidy Hutchinson is a hoe. She fit right in just floating in the swamp. I'm not kidding, he actually wrote that down. So a person who cherishes women doesn't randomly call his coworker a hoe because he doesn't agree with not only her political opinions, they actually do agree almost 99% on political opinions, but that she didn't want to end democracy. And that's why she's a hoe, but no one respects women more than Ziegler. And he actually believes that. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, one of the dumbest people in America. But honestly, tons and tons of Republican voters think just like that.
Yeah, he openly attacks these 2 aides, Cassidy Hutchinson and Alyssa Farah. Let's listen to this audio.
I have no sort of army to hit back at them, right? Because I'm the young guy in the room, and they're not even going after any other young people. The other young people in the White House are total hoes and thoughts, like Cassidy Hutchinson and this Alyssa Farah hoe bag, who are just terrible. I mean, they have no clue what they're saying.
Yeah, he's not bigoted. Just take his word for it. He said he's not bigoted, and he really meant that, clearly. I mean, this is someone who worked closely with them and is calling them hoes and thoughts. And it got worse from there. He also shared his contempt for people like Ben Shapiro, actually, and he uses some anti-Semitic and some homophobic language, and just is slurring Ben Shapiro in this process. Let's watch that as well.
I understand if you're frustrated that it wasn't recorded, because I don't give Benny notices, because I'm not a famous and the world's not revolving around me, and I don't expect people to, to set aside time every day to listen to me. I still don't understand how Ben Shapiro has people who listen to him every single day. I mean, I can't listen to that guy for 5 minutes. I don't know how. I mean, I know he's selling solar yarmulkes, but I don't know how anybody listens to that guy.
Yeah, there's a reason this person really wanted Trump to stay in office and really worked hard to push that the 2020 election was stolen to keep Trump in office, but he's still pushing that to this day. On his Telegram channel, Ziegler continues to promote debunked conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. He falsely claimed in recent posts that the election was stolen and that the January 6th attack on the Capitol was one of the greatest orchestrated false flags in history. All right, so this guy really seems like he's probably gonna be a big player in right-wing politics in the Trump campaign when Trump announces he's running again in 2024, which is absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying that this is who the right has as an aide in the White House. Very close to the president, will likely be close to the president in the future.
So look, the mainstream media doesn't talk about Christian nationalism because they're deathly afraid of offending Christians. But most Christians are not Christian nationalists. They're normal, regular Americans. It's deeply offensive to lump them in with these lunatic Christian nationalists who don't believe in democracy. He couldn't wait to destroy our democracy. He's the one that let in Team Lunatic on December 18th, as Jessica told you. He's the one that writes the Navarro strategy, which is the strategy that Navarro brags about 24/7. He even bragged about it on MSNBC. He wrote a book about it, saying that, hey, we had basically different electors, which are fake electors, not the actual electors, ready to install instead of the real electors. That way you steal the election. And they openly brag about it. Why would they do that? Why would they openly brag about how they were gonna have fake electors and steal the election? Because Christian nationalists don't believe in democracy. They think that we should be a theocracy, that we should be ruled by a religion. And of course, if you're ruled by a religion, it's going to be their religion and their sect of their religion. And there's going to be one dictator who's in charge of it. So that's what he believes. He's an absolute lunatic who thinks I cherish women. That's why I call my coworkers hoe bags, and on and on. And if it was just one crazy guy out of 330 million people, it's no big deal, and that's not his story. He had real power, and Trump listened to him more than he listened to some of his top advisors. And if Trump wins, that guy's back in the White House in a prominent role, ready to destroy this country. And God knows what he would do in terms of policies to minorities, to non-Christians, to women. And finally, that anti-Semitic creed, they're not hiding it anymore. They used to pretend that they were in favor of the Judeo-Christian heritage. They're not pretending anymore. But Ben Shapiro hates solar energy. He hates anything that is perceived as left wing, but it doesn't matter. Ziegler thinks, oh, I'll make a joke about a solar yarmulke because he wanted to mention his yarmulke, because he wanted to say, hey, look at that Jew, and I'm not gonna support that Jew. Who would listen to a guy like that? And by the way, Ben, congratulations on supporting monsters like this. The right wing is filled with these monsters, and you keep promoting them. Oh, you think they're not gonna come for you. They're just gonna come for the women. They're just gonna come for minorities that aren't you. No, they're gonna come for everybody, you idiot. So the right wing is a toxic cesspool, and they're actively trying to destroy this country.
Right, he's saying, I'm not a bigot, I'm not racist, but then he says bigoted and racist things. It is just like Tucker Carlson doing things like saying, I don't support white replacement theory, but then all of his monologues are, supporting white replacement theory. But if he says That's not what it is. He's depriving people of having language to accurately talk about what's going on in American politics, because they're like, well, Tucker Carlson says it's not that thing, so it must be something else, and maybe something that's palatable. It's not right-wing extremism. It's something that, if I agree with these sentiments a little bit because I'm scared about what's happening in our country and rapid change, maybe I'll trust Tucker Carlson's right-wing demagoguery. And it's the same thing as saying people who are upholding the Constitution are Bolsheviks because they want to scrap our Constitution, like Cenk just said, have a white Christian nationalist country.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.